Okay, so this is the next part of percentage. So last time we made T-charts and we put the percent over here and then we put the number over here. So we had maybe, let's say, 50 and we had 10% over here. And then what we did was we said, okay, what would be 100% of 50? Well, that's 50. And then we said, what would be 10% of 50? And then we would move the decimal place over 1, and we get 5. Then we said, what's 1% of 50? And that would be 0.5, because we're moving the decimal point over. And then what you would do is just add up what you need. In this case, we're going to just pick this. But if we wanted to know what was 11%, we would pick 10, and we'd pick the 1, and we would add them up. 5 plus a 0.5, and we would get 5.5. So 11% of 50 is 5.5. Now we're going to do it a little differently. We're going to set it up with this. And what I want kids to do is write this down, and they're going to keep this with them. This could even go on a note card. That's a percent. And they can use this for their homework and stuff. So percent over 100, we know that. What is percent? It's percent over 100. Okay, and then over here we have two different things. We have part, and we got whole. Or we have is of. And I think of these as like two different buttons that depending on what the question is, I would use one or the other. So in this case, 8 is 40% of what number? So what do we know? We know the 40%, and we know 8 is 40% of what number? So we know the is, we don't know the of, and we know the percent. So I'm just going to fill this in. So the percent is easy because it has the percent right after it. So that goes there. That goes there. Okay. And the x will be in different spots depending on the problem. And we have an is of, so I'm going to use this one over here. I'm going to use that one. Okay. Is of. So we know the is, that's 8. And of what number? We don't know that. Okay, so I'm going to use cross product, and I'm going to multiply those two together and divide by that. So if I get out my handy dandy calculator here, and you can use your calculator, 8 times 100, well, we know that's 800. And then I'm going to divide by 40, and that's 20. So x equals 20. All right, now let's just see if this makes sense. So if we did this in a T-chart, sometimes that helps to think about this because we did a whole bunch of problems like that. If we did this in the T-chart, let's fill this in. So our percent is 40. 8 is 40% of what number? We don't know this number. This is the number we don't know. That's our x. And our answer is 8. I don't know why my pen isn't working. 8. Okay. So does 20 make sense here? Does 20 make sense here? Let's think about this. 20, that's our number. Okay, so what is 40% of 20? Okay, so we know it's going to be less than half, because 40% is less than half. So it should be less than 10. Is 8 less than 10? Yes, it is. So that does make sense. So what number? 20. So 8 is 40% of 20. All right, let's make up a story for this. 20 students are in class. 8 of them got an A on the test. What percent is that? 40%. Okay, totally makes sense. All right, let's do another one. 25 is 20% of what number? Let's do a different one. Okay, now we're going to go back a little bit. 15 is 25% of what number? What percent? Okay, this is one I want to do. Okay, so this is another one. So we have percent. We have 100. And then we have our is of. So we could have part whole or is of. In this case, we have is of. Okay, so is of. All right, so let's fill this in. What percent? All right, so the percentages are going to be our x because we don't know what that is. 100 always is on the bottom of this. There's our of, and there's our is. So is goes on the top, and the of goes on the bottom. Okay, let's do our cross product. Some kids like to call this the butterfly, but let's call it cross product. Cross product. All right, get our handy dandy calculator. 100 times 48. 100 times 48. And then divide by 80. Divide by 80. And we get 60. So x is 60. Now let's think about this and see if it makes sense. What percent? So 60% of 80 is 48. So what percent, what is 60% of 80? Well, it's going to be bigger than 50. It's going to be bigger than half. Okay, 48 is bigger than half. So does this make sense? Yeah. All right, let's make a story up for it. 80 kids have 80 kids out of, no, let me think here. What could we say? We make 60% profit on everything that we sell, and we have a product that is sold for $80. How much are we making on that product? So we sell it for $80 and we make 60%. How much do we make? We make 48. Or you could say, we sell the product for 48, or we sell the product for 80 and we make 48 on it. What's our percentage? And that's kind of what this is asking. What's our percentage? Okay, so that is how we do this.